Max Performance. Believe, achieve, excel.
Good morning, welcome to Max Performance TV. Today we're with Sullay Kaikai from Blackpool FC.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be on here.
No, thanks for coming and letting us speak to you and ask you some questions. So let's start with where your football career began. Currently, you, like I said, you're with Blackpool FC. You're playing in League One, which have got off to a great start. But your career in football was more testing. So you started off in the Crystal Palace Academy, and you had to trial 3 times, I believe.
Yeah, so Crystal Palace was my first academy. So before that, I was playing non-league, or like Sunday league, should I say. So I had 3 trials before actually getting into Crystal Palace at the age of 15. So from the age of about 6, 7, when I first started playing football for like a local team, I was just playing Sunday league football.
What kept you going back then and making sure that you got into the academy?
Just following my dream of trying to become a professional footballer.
Yeah.
So just having that never say die attitude and just trying to improve to make sure that I can make that happen.
Do you remember at the time then being quite disappointed? The first 2 times.
Yeah, the first time was probably the worst, I'd say, because that was actually my first ever trial for a pro club.
Right. Okay.
So I'd never had that sort of rejection before, so it was kind of hard to take. And I had the feeling that I'd get in anyways, so that was quite hard to take. But I just kept going, just kept enjoying my football really, and I got an opportunity a couple years later, which was good.
I guess when you finally did get in, it made it even more enjoyable than if you didn't get in the first time.
Yeah, exactly. So I did learn a lot from it.
So you came through Crystal Palace Academy, and you also played in their first team in the Premier League. So what was that like? Do you remember that quite well?
Yeah, so I actually had a good loan spell and I got called back.
Yeah.
So at the end of the season, that's when I made my Premier League debut for Crystal Palace, and it was an unreal moment. Those sort of games are like the games as a footballer you want to be involved in, and luckily I managed to make my debut, and it's just an unforgettable day really. Even though the result didn't go our way, we lost. I think we ended up losing 4-1, but for me personally, it was a good milestone to achieve.
Yeah, great achievement. A lot of players have come through Crystal Palace. They've got such a rich history in bringing through exciting young players such as yourself. Did you know that then when you was going for the trials? Is that one of the reasons why you was really strong and wanting to be able to be part of the academy?
No, I wouldn't say that. I'd probably say because I'm a local lad, so I only live about 5 minutes from the training ground and about 10 minutes from the stadium. So it was just a thing of convenience at the same time, and like having the luck of being scouted by Crystal Palace the first time. And also my friend who I went to school with was playing for Crystal Palace at the time. So we're the same age. So yeah, he kind of helped me out with the second and third trials.
Is your friend still in football as well?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's playing professionally. So it kind of worked out in the end. So yeah, it was just a dream to obviously be able to play for your local club.
Yeah, do you mind me asking who it was?
Yeah, it was Ryan Ennis.
And he's one of your good friends from when you was young then. So I bet that was quite nice to share that experience together and still both playing now.
Yeah, exactly. So we ended up playing for the same Sunday League team. And he left to go to Palace a few years before I got in. And we ended up playing for Palace at the same time, which worked its way out. So yeah.
It's amazing. They've had a lot of notable success stories. So they've had Victor Moses, you've had Nathaniel Klein. So did you feel like that it was going to be your turn next at the time? Did you have that pressure thinking, I've got to work really hard, I've got to take this opportunity, or was it kind of you were still young, so you did want to still have a bit of a life and outside of football?
Not necessarily. I'd say I took it very serious in terms of like having a life outside of football. I knew there was a balance, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's my job and it's my profession. So I was just dedicated towards becoming a better player and breaking through. Like you said, Crystal Palace have got a good track record of bringing through players. So it gives you confidence that you're at the right club to develop and have those opportunities in the future. So,
and what's coaching like at the academy level then? Is that quite intense?
Yeah, I would say. The coaches are good. You can see from the amount of players that have come through in the last 10 years or 15 years. So the coaches are doing a really good job down there.
What sort of things that you had to do then, just so people coming into your place, they know what to expect from day to day?
I'd say doing extras like away from the pitch as well. So obviously you have your coaching at the training ground and during the week, but just doing the little bits outside of football that are going to help on the pitch. So like nutrition, sleep, going to the gym, just working on your craft outside to like enable you to have an edge on your teammates.
Is that something that you did yourself, or did you get help with that, like nutrition plans or PTs or anything like that?
No, that's something that I did by myself. But nutrition, I would say the club did support me with that. But in terms of finding ways to better myself, I kind of always had that on my own, to be fair. So
you've got to have that determination and yourself. Yeah. Was you quite disappointed then, obviously, after you'd tried so hard to get into the academy, that you wasn't able to establish a permanent role for the club?
Yeah, it was disappointing. And in the end, that's the reason why I ended up leaving. Just not getting enough game time, especially for my age at the time. I was getting to an age where I needed to be playing, and I wanted to establish myself at a club.
Well,
it was heartbreaking that it couldn't happen at Crystal Palace, because that was the dream, playing for your local club in the Premier League. I had some wonderful memories there, and I played a few first team games for them. So yeah, I enjoyed my time there.
Well, saying that, you obviously throughout your career you had gone on loan quite a few times, so that gave you a little bit more opportunity to play, I guess. You was with Crawley Town, Cambridge United, Shrewsbury, Brentford and Charlton. So out of those, can you remember which one you was most looking forward to going to?
I'd say all of them. Yeah, I'd say all of them. Yeah, I'd say my first loan I was excited about. Obviously, it's your first loan, but I'd say that was the most difficult loan. It was more a learning curve, which set me up quite well for my second loan. From there, I kind of just kicked on.
What about that then was a learning curve for you?
That was my first time being in a change room full of men. Just learning how to perform under pressure, and just certain aspects of the game that you don't really get at under 23s level or reserve level. So I went there, didn't play as much as I would have liked, but the learning experience, like I said, set me up for my second loan, which went really well.
So for people following in your footsteps, what's the process like? Explain a bit what it's like to go on loan as a player. Do you have a choice? Do you get to steer a bit of the direction where you go, or do you kind of have to leave that to everyone else to decide for you?
It's a bit of both. So your agent and the club are both involved. So your agent might come to you with options, and he'll also present them to the club, and they kind of liaise between both parties to see whether it's suitable for the player. But at the end of the day, it's down to the player whether he wants to go to that club or not.
Was that something you tend to get heavily involved in, or did you kind of leave that trust in other people?
No, I get heavily involved in it, because at the end of the day, it's my career, so I have the final say. And you don't want to go to somewhere where the football might not suit your style of play, and then you end up not playing at all. So it is quite important for players to get involved.
Yeah. And is it exciting then to go on loan, or do you feel like sometimes it's a bit disappointing that you have to leave your parent club for another short period again?
I wouldn't say disappointing, but I think when you've had a lot of loans, it does get frustrating, and you kind of want to settle at one club. But the loans did make me a better player, and also as a young player, you need the loans to get experience of playing. So if you're not playing at your club, you'd rather go out on loan, get the experience, and come back to your club and hopefully start playing for them.
Yeah, I guess on a personal level as well, then is it quite difficult to feel settled in life, having to change accommodation and things like that?
Yeah, it is very difficult to be on the move all the time. Yeah, it's quite hard. Like, you're away from your family all the time, and yeah, it's just something that has to be done in a sense to, gain experience and have the playing time in order for your first team manager at your club to trust you. So it's just, yeah, a process that you have to go through.
And who arranges your accommodation then when you go to these places? Is it yourself?
At a club?
The club?
No, it'd be the club. Yeah.
I spoke to another player, and they actually used to go and stay like with families. Is that something that you've ever had to experience before, or you kind of was put up in hotels?
No, luckily for me, like I said, I was a local boy, so it was perfect for me where I lived 5 minutes from the training ground and 10 minutes from the ground. So I never had to go into digs as a young player.
That's good then. You could stay kind of close to home and like still have time to see your friends and things like that. So it's not
Yeah,
lonely,
exactly.
I guess.
Yeah.
So you also went to Holland, which isn't as close to home, and
Yeah.
you played over there. So tell me a bit more about that experience.
It's a short-lived experience, but yeah, it was an interesting one. I loved the country. It was like a nice city where I was in Breda, and the people there were really nice. The football's a lot different to the English style of play, so that was also good to experience that and to add that to my game. I'd say the league is very different in terms of the way it's set up. So we actually ended up getting relegated, which wasn't the plan, but yeah, that happened in the end. And then we kind of went into like a playoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the way they do it out there is quite different, but overall it was a good experience.
How did that move come about then? Like you said, it was you was there for a year, so was it meant to be longer, or?
I was only there for about 4 months actually. So I signed, yeah, so I signed a year and a half, and I was only there for 4 months. So yeah, it was meant to be longer, but the move kind of came about in January. So I didn't want to go on loan again. I kind of just wanted to be at a club and establish myself at a club. And my agent had contacts in Holland, presented me with the opportunity, and yeah, it was one that I thought at the time would go really well. So yeah, I took the chance on it.
Well, I guess at least you had the experience, and also to live in
Yeah.
the country for another while. What was the biggest differences then against their culture to the one in England and Britain?
I'd say the football is a bit slower. I'd say it's very man-to-man marking and playing out from the back. I'd say quite a lot. So like the keepers out there never tend to kick it long, and it's just a different style of football. So it took me a few weeks to just adapt and accept that. But yeah, like I said, it's something that I can now say I've experienced and adapted well to.
Yeah, was there a lot of cultural differences then as well? Was that something that you
Not
considered or didn't really have to?
not a lot, because I was there. I was only there for a short time. I didn't really notice a lot in terms of like preparation for games and just, yeah, I'd say like the people in the city were pretty much doing the same thing that you'd find over here. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was a massive culture shock.
Nothing too drastic then.
Nah.
but you enjoyed your time, so that's the most important thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Things. So obviously, speaking about your family, obviously you was away, well, a shorter period than what I thought anyway. So it wasn't as long. But your family are originally from Sierra Leone. So would you ever consider going and playing over there at international level?
Yeah, I would. I've had previous conversations with the management in the past, and told them my thoughts. And yeah, it is something that I'm considering, and I feel like I'm at an age now where I'm ready to play.
Play over there. Is that a bit of an exclusive there? Then no one else knows that. Yeah.
No, I think some people might know, but not a lot of people. But yeah,
So that's
I
not
hope to get to
basically
play
in
with
the
them
future
soon.
to go and play there for your team, and I guess your family would be really proud about that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Especially my dad. I mean, he's been on to me for quite a while now, so I know that I make him happy.
So you do follow football. So have you been following the African Cup of Nations tournament?
Yeah, whenever it's on, I always watch it, and I've got a few friends that also play
Yeah.
for Sierra Leone and some of the other African countries, so I do follow quite a lot.
And what's your thoughts on it? Have you got
I
any?
think it's a great tournament. I mean, Sierra Leone, I don't think they've ever really been involved, so it would be
Maybe
special.
you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it would be special if I could obviously help them achieve that.
Yeah. So as a professional player, to date, you've already played 25 games in League Two, 73 games in League One, 18 games in the Championships, and 3 in the Premier League. Is there any games that stand out to you the most in your memory as something that you was really proud of, or you just felt a massive accomplishment being there?
Definitely Premier League debut. It's obviously like one that you'll never forget, and playing in the Premier League is every young boy's dream. So yeah, just having the privilege of being able to play in the Premier League is definitely a standout moment.
What
I'd
was that
say,
like then? Was your family able to come and support and things like that?
yeah, they actually travelled to the game,
No.
which is good. Yeah. So I'll just say it was an unreal moment. I mean, I couldn't really put it into words after the game. And yeah, it's just one you never forget. Like, I still got the shirt. I've got it framed in my house. So yeah, it's a nice little reminder when you're walking by.
Keep going and how far
Yeah.
come as well, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I read in an article where you stated playing behind the striker is your preferred position, but throughout your career you have been a versatile player and you've played across the front line, and you've gone wherever your managers have asked, really. So what does it take to be able to do that and to be able to be that player for your team of the managers?
I think just understanding the game, just being able to adapt. I feel like in modern football, you kind of need to know how to play different positions. It's very important because nowadays you get managers that will play different formations or change the formation every game. So in order to stay in the team, it's a bonus if you're able to adapt and know how to play different positions and understand the game.
Is that something? Sorry. Is that something you find difficult then as a player to not be where you prefer, or is it something you
Not
kind of got used
really. No, because I'll do a job for the team, and as long as it's anywhere in the front line, I know that I've got a license to enjoy myself and to express myself and to play my natural game.
to? Do you find a lot of players aren't like you and don't feel comfortable in that, and it does become a problem?
Yeah, for sure. I think it can affect a lot of players that have been brought up to play in just one position. So thankfully, it is something that was probably a little bit forced upon me to learn different positions, but something that I'm grateful for now.
Who was it then that did that, force that upon you?
My youth team coach.
So you're thankful now, but I guess at the time there might have been a few arguments.
I wouldn't say arguments, but yeah, like bit of disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now you are with Blackpool, so obviously it's paid off being able to be adaptable and show off your skills. Tell me about that and about that move over to Blackpool FC, and who are currently in League One.
So after my short-lived period in Holland, I came back to England in the summer and signed for Blackpool. So I was weighing up a lot of options, but there was just something about Blackpool that felt right. They're a club on the up, and they've got ambitions to get promoted and to do well. So yeah, like I said, overall it just felt right. So that's how I ended up at Blackpool.
So you just felt
A
like
long
that
way
was
away from
something.
home.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's that like then? Obviously, you're a London boy, used to being down the city, to now be far into the north. So has it been a bit of a culture shock, or have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, yeah, it's so cold. It's freezing. Yeah, I'd say that's the main thing that's been a struggle to adapt to, how cold it is up north.
I know
But
it's snowing here today. Is it snowing where you are?
no, it's just freezing. We're by the seaside as well, so we get it every day.
No.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably been the biggest culture shock.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, London's obviously a busy city, so there's a lot to do. See, family and friends are there, so it is a bit of a culture shock. But I'd say my loans have set me up quite well, where I've been away from home, so I'm able to adapt. So yeah, I'd say like I'm kind of lucky in that sense,
Have you
that
found
even
it?
though I'm far away from home, that I know how to look after myself.
Well, I guess like the loans, like you said, have prepared you from being away from your family and things like that. But do you still find
Yeah,
it difficult, especially now, with us being in and out of lockdowns?
yeah, of course. I mean, it's hard to get back home even without the lockdown. So yeah, even with the lockdown, it's been a bit of a headache.
Yeah. What have you been doing then to make sure you are still keeping in contact with everyone back at home?
Just on the phone, FaceTime, just yeah, just that
We are
really.
doing a lot of like Zoom pub quizzes. We've been doing some of those, which was funny, but there's only so much you can do. So, so yeah, earlier on in the season as well, you did face an injury, but it was actually around the time of the first lockdown that we had back in March, wasn't it? So just before
Yeah,
that. Obviously, it's been a horrible situation for the world, COVID-19. But for you personally, did you feel like that was a bit of a benefit because you wasn't the only one not playing?
yeah, exactly. It kind of worked out in my favor in that sense, where I had the extra time to kind of get over my injury and um, come back injury free, basically. So yeah, I had the injury for about 2 or 3 months, and I was just playing on with it. And thankfully, COVID did help with that, where I can come back fully healed. So for me, it was a benefit, in fact,
Yeah, you was
where I
able
didn't.
to rest
Yeah,
and catch up on
yeah,
speaking to your friends and your family as well. Was doing that.
yeah.
So what was you doing then? Obviously, especially at the beginning of lockdown, you couldn't even go into the club or anything. So was that a lot of pressure then not to have added support in your recovery, or was you still able to get that from home?
I was still able to get that from home a little bit. So yeah, I'd also go into the gym, so like do like 1v1 sessions, obviously with social distancing. But yeah, it was difficult at the start, I'd say.
Is it giving you a bit more of an insight in then like what you have to do yourself without having to be more guided by yourself and to make yourself better rather than having to rely on like the club and the professionals that would obviously know?
Yeah, and I'd say like it's a lot of discipline. So just being able to do your rehab every day and make sure you're doing it right, because obviously you want to get back playing. So that was all the motivation that I needed. So even though I wasn't with a physio, I knew where I wanted to be at the end of lockdown, and that was fully fit. So
And you've done that, so well done for that.
Yeah, thank you.
One lockdown goal ticked off the list with at least one person this year. So what else, what's it been like in the club then? Obviously with lockdown, like you mentioned just then, social distancing, how have you been making sure you're bonding still with your teammates so that when you are playing as a team?
We would have like Zoom calls from time to time, but like there would just more be like meetings about how the club's going to move forward and just stuff like that, really. But we've got a football group chat on WhatsApp.
Okay.
So yeah, we all just stay in contact that way, just to make sure that the morale's there and we are bonding.
Has that been difficult then, would you say? Is that something that's been a challenge for the team?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think when you're with people every day, it's kind of a breath of fresh air, and you don't have to see them every day. And like when you come back together, it kind of gives you an extra boost. So
kind of
yeah, I would say that.
I guess you appreciate the time more than in each other's company than probably before. You're sick of seeing each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And how have the new players in your team taken it then? Have you managed to be able to speak to them? Obviously, they joined, I think when we spoke before, they joined during COVID, so a bit more difficult to get to know someone than when they walk into the locker room for the first day. Do you know how they're getting on with that?
Yeah, I mean, the new players have integrated quite well. Yeah, that's all I can say on it, really. So yeah.
Okay. So, how often have you been to the beach for the final question? Because I have to know since you're in Blackpool.
It's poor for me, but I haven't been.
Not been one.
No, I haven't been. It's quite poor. It's because during the summer I go back to London, I go home. So, and apart from the summer,
no one really wants to go.
all year round it's just cold. So I haven't had the chance.
All past, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, then we'll leave it on one last note. What's your short piece of advice to any players wanting to become professional?
Just to believe in yourself and never give up, even if you have been rejected. Just to have like self-confidence and self-belief, because I think football is a game of opinions. One manager might not like you, but the next will. So just to keep going and then just work hard.
That's great. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, bye.